Upgrade is the new action sci-fi movie from the creator of the Saw and Insidious franchises, and tells the story of a man who, after surviving a brutal attack, is left paralyzed, but a new microchip is introduced to his body that not only allows him to walk again, but communicates with him and helps solve his wife's murder and who attacked him. So, guys, before we get into the review, we just want to let you know we have a new website, thecinemabufs.com, and if you go there right now on our homepage, you can go ahead and vote for the movie that we'll be reviewing next week between Ocean's 8, Hotel Artemis, and Hereditary. So please go to thecinemabufs.com.
Vote now.
And make sure to vote now. So, Nate, let's get into this movie, Upgrade.
Yeah.
Now, we saw this trailer like a couple months ago. It looked nuts.
Nuts.
A lot of like hardcore action, hard R.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted action, we wanted gore, we wanted some laughs. Did you get what you want out of this?
I mean, I would say the short answer, yes. I got what I wanted out of this movie. The trailer is what it says it's going to be.
Yep, there's
Definitely.
no misleading.
Yeah,
this
there's
marketing.
no misleading. Like, yes, this guy gets this chip, and then he can kick some ass, and it is violent at times. It is pretty funny at times, and it is pretty nonstop, but I wouldn't say that nonstop. There are a few lulls in this movie. What do you think?
I very much enjoyed this movie. It was exactly what you said. It was what it was promised, to be this crazy, kind of shifty camera work going along with the action.
Yeah.
And the thing I liked about this is in this like ominous future where we have self-driving cars and all these great technological advances, but it doesn't give us like a definite year. It could be 5 years or 50 years in the future for all we know. And I like how Logan Marshall Green, a.k.a. Kmart Tom Hardy.
Pretty much.
I like how his character kind of starts off as like anti-technology, more like an analog player in a digital world who likes to get his hands dirty, and he's adjusting to this, this great new technology that we have. And I think it's kind of reflective of our society. There are some things that, yes, I want to get my hands in there, I want to do it myself, and then there's some things in life, I'm like, if a computer's going to take care of it, let it do its job.
I agree. The world building was very solid in this movie.
Yes.
I believe the world, and I believe the rules that this world set up and that they abide by. There are rules in movies, and you just sometimes, if it extends too far, you're like, all right, I don't believe it anymore. You went too far. But with this, it really does follow in its own world. And I like that, and you're right. Yes, there is a lot of drone shots, and I think there's a lot of monitoring. And in our society right now, everything has a camera. Everything has, or you're being watched at all times. Everything's recorded, and there is a lot of that, sort of themes in there, but it doesn't explore it in a sense where it needs to, I guess. And it's not a fault at all. It doesn't need to explore it. It just sort of puts it there. Like, this is a future that quite possibly, to a certain extent, could be our future.
Yeah, and you're right. It doesn't try to shove any kind of it doesn't take a hard stance on technology or anything like that. Even though our lead character, definitely takes a hard stance on that.
Yeah.
This is a revenge tale.
Yes.
And very much like a revenge tale, there are the usual twists and turns that this movie navigates through.
Yep.
But I was able to forgive those cliche moments just because the world that was set in. And I think that, not only did they do a good job establishing the world in this movie, the futuristic society, but also it established this lead character. And it took its time to give us time to root for him before we send him off on this revenge rampage.
Yeah, you feel for this guy big time with what he goes through, and it does it in a pretty tight package. I want to compare it a little bit to the setup of John Wick, where it's like, this is the way it goes, now it's time to kick some ass. And there's right ways to do it, and there's wrong ways to do it, death wish, but this one does it right. Yes, I think it sets it up well, and once you get introduced to this AI that gets put into his neck, I really liked what they started with the dialogue and the relationship that started to build between the lead character and the AI. I liked their communication together more than most character interactions in this film.
Yeah, it was weird. Once the AI started communicating with him, this kind of turned into a buddy movie of sorts.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the action specifically.
Sure.
There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. I mean, the thing takes over his body and is able to fight for him.
Yeah.
What did you think about those scenes, how they were crafted?
I wanted to ask you about this as well. I thought the scenes were really well done, actually. This is a very smaller scale action movie, and so these are a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it sort of gives you the best off the bat. There's a fight scene in a house that I think is the best fight scene in the movie, and it is pretty prominent in the trailer as well. But that's not to say that the other fight scenes aren't great. They are. There's just, to me, there just wasn't enough of it,
I agree.
It just lacked a little bit on the action for me. I was like, can I get another action scene, please? Because I really like what they're doing there, and I really liked the camera movements. This is a little bit different. This was this sort of weird kinetic, like, once the AI takes over, you almost follow his movements. Like, he is always dead center in the camera and in focus, and the background is the thing that's moving.
Yeah.
And I really like that look. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I like that look. There was one part where I kind of thought they went over the top with it, where he was doing a cartwheel, and it's...
Yeah,
I
it's
was
sort of
like, all
follows
right,
them
I wish
all.
somebody would have told Lee Wannell to, like, all right, dial it back on this one.
Yeah.
But I agree. I enjoyed the action. I wish there was more of it. And the camera work, it makes what might have been, like, just kind of like your standard, you know, maybe slightly above the mark action scene really stand out because, you know, it's just you're making these stylistic choices with, you know, we've seen one-on-one combat in movies before, but, you know, you add some style to it, you can make it really stand out.
Yeah, it's also the sound effects that added a lot to it as well. To me, the music and the sound effects, it's a really cool sort of futuristic, mellow soundtrack, but still fit with the whole theme of it. But also when he's doing these like lean backs punches, it's like, like
Right.
without those, I don't think it would have been as cool. But the sound effects added to the action. So fans of action, a lot of things to like in this movie. But what are any downfalls of this film, if any?
Well, I mentioned before how even though this movie is kind of cliche ridden and there are some obvious twists, like, you know, spoiler alert, I guess, but, you know, the thing communicates with his body and he controls it. Eventually, the thing's going to control him. So I would say the predictability of this movie, that's a flaw at some points, but
Yeah.
it's not too big of a knock. And really, nobody outside of Logan Marshall Green really impressed me with their
Stood
acting. I mean,
out.
nobody stood out as bad.
Right.
The acting was solid, but like
Yeah, it was fine all
there are
along.
no other characters to latch onto. Outside of those few little flaws, I mean, I didn't really have any big problems with this movie. How about you?
I had a few problems. I mean, it's more character based. It is. I felt like this is
Okay.
a smaller scale movie for sure, and it could have stayed there, but I felt like it just started to expand a little bit more than it had the means to. There's a lot of underdevelopment with this cop that's following him, where I just was like, not that interested in the cop. I wasn't that
Yeah.
interested in his mother. I wasn't interested that much in the guy that put the chip in him. I felt like we could have used a little bit more of what he's all about, which goes to the runtime where, like, I kind of actually wanted a little bit more time with this movie.
Yeah.
It ends a little too abruptly for me, and that's another flaw with me for the ending. I did not enjoy the ending. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I will just say that, like, the ending for me sort of it went off a little bit of the beaten path. So yeah, it kind of was a little bit of a surprise there. There's a little bit of a twist that I was like, okay.
But-
I didn't feel like it was a cop out. It didn't go in the direction that I wanted it to go in.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go any further than that. But other than that, no, I think this is like a pretty great action movie and kind of a sleeper hit for this summer.
Buffs.
So those are our thoughts on Upgrade, sort of an out of a nowhere kind of action movie. Let's put a score to it, Dennis. What'd you think?
Yeah, I really had a good time with Upgrade. It was a neat little stylistic choice on some, you know, cliches that we've seen in revenge movies before, but, you know, you compare this to Death Wish side by side, a cliche-ridden revenge movie, to this cliche-ridden revenge movie.
A lot more originality in this one. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give Upgrade an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
I mean, one of the big complaints was I didn't get enough movie, and how big of a complaint could that be, you know?
That's very, very true. Yeah, I enjoyed myself with Upgrade as well. I'm going to recommend it to go see it. For me, not quite as high as 8. The flaws are a little bit glaring for me, a little bit more, but still, very solid action movie. I'm going to go 7.5. So just a little bit under, but still, go see the movie.
Yeah, go check it out. It's
Yeah.
a neat little film.
Very fun.
I said film and not film.
That's all right.
Buffs. All right, guys, so that's it for our review of Upgrade. Did you see the movie? What'd you think? What'd you think of the cool little twist on the revenge tale? Go ahead and leave a comment down below.
Yeah, and don't forget to go to the website, thecinemabufs.com, to go cast your vote for what we review next week. It's all up to you guys. So we'll see you next week. But wherever you are, whoever you're with,
Watch more movies.